welcome back to my channel. This video is gonna be a continuation of the previous deep dive episode, which is about the game itself. If you haven't seen that, I recommend you to see it. In this video, we're gonna be deep diving into the psychology part or the mental health part of Space for the Unbound. Now, this is gonna be full of spoilers. So I recommend, if you haven't watched or if you haven't played, please play the game, pause it, play the game, and then come back here. Or if you don't have the game, you can always watch my gameplay in the app here or somewhere down there. Some disclaimer. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, but I'm currently training to be a coach, a spiritual life coach, where we are also taught of modules on psychology, like some psychology part, as well as I used to take some psychology subjects back during my high school and my college time. So I've done some research as well, and also it's going to be based on personal experiences. If one way or the other you feel triggered, I would recommend for you to look to a mental health therapist, the one that you trust. Okay, so A Space for the Unbound itself is a game about mental health. Even the creators of the Space for the Unbound also agree this is kind of like game about mental health, and they've even do a cross-check before with practitioner, a mental health practitioner, in terms of the story, in terms of what happened if someone get bullied and everything. So they actually have done their due diligence. This is such a big topic. I'm going to start with Raya, I think, because Raya is like the focal point of this whole game. Basically, we start the game. We woke up like we're just a normal high school student. But then as the chapter progressed, we found out that, wait, this is actually not real. We're not in the real world. We're actually in a world where Raya created, so that it will go according to what she wants and what she wishes. It's kind of like a defense mechanism for Raya because of what happened to her in the real world, which is we can see that she's been bullied in the school as well as abused by her father. So you could say like she's a unique child. She has this gift of drawing, of imagination, and very rich in expression, right? But because her parents, at least his father, doesn't appreciate that, and she doesn't really have that much friends, really. That doesn't make her start in a safe place until she met Atma. We're going to talk about Atma a bit later, but suffice to say that Raya's as Nirmala's interaction. Okay, so Raya is Nirmala. Okay, that's spoiler. That is a spoiler. Raya is Nirmala. So when Raya met Atma during her childhood, she felt safe because like this is someone that she can be safe with, play along, as well as encourage her to pursue her dream. However, after Atma's died or gone, Raya lost this safe space for her. So pretty much like, okay, she doesn't have any more support system because that's gone. So we can see when she decides to cut off her connection with Nirmala, which is also showing that she decides to cut off from her inner child. There's a concept of inner child here. Everyone has an inner child. This is affecting her because without an inner child, without healing our inner child, it's going to be very difficult for someone to move on and to heal as well. And that's what's been happening throughout her life pretty much until the game. In terms of the inner child themselves, like we can kind of see like the comparison between Raya and Nirmala. Nirmala being the inner child, the sun child, where she's positive, as like expressive, and then like full of joy of life, zest of life. While as Raya, she's more on the you can say it's like a shadow child, where like the bitterness, where like everything that's negative about the life, she experienced it very much. She cut it off. So it's kind of like showing her growing up, feeling very restrained, negative feelings in life only. You can also see from the colors, like Nirmala is portrayed with this golden light, golden colors, while Raya is blue. When you say if someone is depressed or someone is sad, oh, why are you feeling so blue? I'm feeling blue. But that doesn't mean that one is better than the other, because you need both to coexist. You need both to heal. And that's why during my coaching training as well, we are taught that doing inner child work is important, even for ourselves as the coach. Before we can help the client, we have to do our own inner child work. We have to do the healing. We have to do the shadow work. That's to be aware of what the triggers are. Coming back to Raya, throughout the game, I feel like when I was playing the game, I feel like something is not right with this girl. Like, it seems like she's okay, like nothing's wrong. She seems sweet, but then there are some time where like suddenly she was grumpy or sad, and then the next she would change into like happy kind of. So it's with, you could say, kind of like a mood swings. There's a part on that like, okay, hang on, like this is not normal, but okay. uh like it's just weird. It's a bit weird in talking when we talk about the game itself, but it turns out like it explains why she behaved that way, because nothing goes according to her way, even though it's inside her own world. Yeah, so we see how she's perfectionist, like her behavior of perfectionism, and somewhat a bit manipulative as well, especially on Atma and other people. And when they didn't cooperate with her, she became a bit hostile, even though it's in her own world. Okay, so I cried playing the games, and I want to know here who plays the game and not crying at all. I don't know. Type in the comment if you don't cry. Actually, like I want to know. For me personally, I can relate to what Raya is experiencing to a certain extent. It's not that I suffer severe bullying or like abuse in the way Raya experienced. It's just that there are some parts where she felt like she doesn't being understood. The part where she starts to feel like starts to heal, like the part where she and Atma go on and on and on, like through the stairs, not the rocky stairs. It's very touching. It's very touching and very relatable as well. Like, okay, especially when you're depressed. Okay, this is me talking from my experience. Okay, like there's an episode where I was actually depressed, and then it takes months, or even years to recover. It's not overnight, boom, and that's it, you're done. It takes time. It feels like relief, yes, but that's why I thought like it's very touching. And when Raya finally embraces her own inner child, as well as decides to encounter all of the demons of her mind, I think that's very powerful. Okay, let's talk about the end, I guess. Like that, if you manage to complete all of the bucket lists, there will be an extra scene where Raya goes to the river where Atma is gone, kind of like reminisce about him, like paying last respect, and that's before she moves to a different city. The ending, it feels like bittersweet. It feels bittersweet, but it's very realistic as well, isn't it? Because what else can you do? That's what would you do, right? Like you will visit someone who's already gone. You will visit his or her grave, or a place of memory, and where you used to hang out with or something, and then say goodbye. Let's not forget that Raya likes cats. Throughout the game, we know that there are at least two cats that she's very fond of. The first cat that she's very fond of is Bosky, which is her pet, and you can see it in the very beginning in the prologue, where Nirmala asks Atma to take the magic wand from her house and have Bosky to lead him, basically. We don't really know what happened to Bosky, but My guess is that he died for some unknown reason. For Raya at the time, because she's already separated or locked Nirmala out from herself, she lost a comfort that Bosky used to give Raya. And then when she grew up during high school time, Raya found another cat, a stray cat to be precise, which she called Admiral. At least even in the school community knows that Admiral is a cat that Raya likes to pet. Admiral has been a source of comfort as well for Raya to cope with her family life, with her school life. She was okay with that, but then something happened, right? We know that Eric accidentally ran through the Admiral, which is very sad. For Raya, that's she has been through of so many losses. Like she lost Atma, she lost Bosky, she lost her childhood per se. Now she's losing another source of comfort, which is Admiral. With all of this trauma of losses, she couldn't cope with that, and she decided to create her own world where everything is perfect. When I played it for the first time, I thought, okay, this is very WandaVision, because you can see a bit on the you can see like why is it glitchy and everything, like okay, Raya is somewhat similar with Wanda in a way, because well, Wanda is grieving and she accidentally create the world, while Raya, she is depressed, that's for sure, and she needs a lot of healing to work on, so she create that world, so in order for everything to follow according to her rule, even though that's not exactly what healing is supposed to be. Let's talk about Atma. So who is Atma really? It doesn't really specify like what actually happens to Atma and who he is, but based on the game, what we know is that Atma is a high school boy who came to Loka town or Loka city. So he ran away and he came to Loka town where Raya and his friends are from. He's very much a real person. So like when he tried to save Nirmala, he actually drowned, and his body just never found. So that part is real. That part is real from what I gathered from the game. And then when the part where Marin said to Raya, like, look, I've tried to search for this Atma person to records, ask people around. It's like Atma never exists. That's also quite true. It's because Atma came from a different city. He's still pretty much underage at the time, right? So I imagine that in the 90s, especially if you're underage, you don't really have, especially if you're a runaway, there's no ID. You don't have ID with you basically, or like at least even if you have, there's nothing that shows that he is affiliated in or live in Loka. There's no official or legal record on Atma. Hence why Marin thought that Atma is Raya's childhood imaginary friend. You could say that Atma, this Atma that we're playing as, is the real Atma's soul, because he's an anomaly. Even Raya and Nirmala didn't know what to make out of this Atma, because he can act like his own and he has his own memories. That's like the real Atma trying to save Raya. Another possible explanation is that this Atma is Raya's memory of that Atma. Although that doesn't really explain why this Atma can think and act on his own. So I would personally go with the actual Atma's soul. The way he keeps saying like, I'm with you, just keep moving forward, don't look back. There's nothing there for you. Just keep moving forward. It's like encouraging her to keep moving forward. That doesn't seem to be like what a memory would do. So that's why, like, okay, this is Atma's soul. Let's talk about Raya's mother though. Like, she plays a very minimum role here, but so she started as a very quiet mother for Raya. Even she said it herself, like, Mom, why are you just standing there? Help me, when her father's abusing her. But that kind of like shifts because we can see through Raya's memory also that the mother is actually not happy with that, because the mother also got abused by the father. But then because of Raya, like, the mother starts to get more and more courage, and at the end she decided to get a divorce. This is just a theory here, which is why, because like it makes things very tense and emotionally very charged up in the house, that Raya decided to do suicide. Hence why she woke up in the hospital, because that was when the mother already divorced. A bit of a cultural context though. Maybe some of you will think like, why don't the mother just, divorce the father if he's been abusing her? In Indonesia, especially in the 90s, divorce is not very common. Divorce is not a very common thing to do. Like, the husband is supposed to be the head of the family, and a good wife is supposed to listen to the husband. There's gonna be like lots of other things to consider, like maybe economic constraint and whatnot, but suffice to say that divorce is just not a common thing. In terms of Raya's friends, Eric, Lulu, as well as Marin, we see among the three of them there's an obsession as well. With Eric, we see the obsession of being forgiven by Raya, in which he tried to profess it in a bit of an unhealthy way. Instead of saying sorry right out, he would just say it through giving a Black Forest cake for her, because he said that saying sorry it's not manly enough. For Lulu, there's an obsession, or there's this need of being recognized by, at least by the town, by the people in the city. So we can see as well in chapter 3, when the three people that felt meaningful for Lulu, when they didn't recognize her, it starts to make her doubt of her sense of identity as a queen, or like as someone who is a leader of the community. And as for Marin, there is this obsession of being, you could say, an obsession of being forgiven by Raya for doubting her, and of wanting to have this friendship again with Raya. Although for Raya, she felt like Marin never believed her, and she betrayed her also, like by not helping her out when Raya needs her the most. She found it hard to forgive Marin. I thought it's just interesting to point out how the obsession of Raya's friends, and then link into how Raya's perception of their animal forms. Okay, let's talk about the animal symbolism of the friends. In each chapter, we see that each of Raya's school friends gets turned into animals, which we found out later on that it's just Raya's image of each of them. Like, each of them corresponds to the fairy tale that Nirmala wrote, in which Eric is a weird dog. This is very interesting because I would say, okay, this is my interpretation, okay? Eric's weird dog is actually kind of like a distorted dog, because he's not grown up yet. He's still like a kid at heart. But because Eric likes Raya, right? Eric likes Raya, and then there's this perception that romance thing is not a guy's thing, and guys is supposed to be like motorcycle or smoking, all of those badass cool stuff, which is not cool at all, I think. It kind of like manifested into a distorted dog, which means that it's not a grown-up dog yet, but he's just pretending to be like a grown-up. Hence why it's a distorted one. With Lulu, okay, this is a very interesting one, because in the fairy tale, Lulu is supposed to be a swan, because she's charismatic, she's pretty, she's famous. Even in her space dive, you could see that she's acting like a queen, and she addressed the people in Loka city as her subjects. But later on, when she turns, we can see that she's somewhat not exactly a swan, but she has like this darkish color in her body, which makes her look more like a vulture especially with the long head as well. I mean, I thought like, okay, interesting. Is she a vulture now because like it's like her shadow side where as a vulture she's preying on Raya, whose her life force is getting decreased, and you could say dying. Maybe that's why like she's portraying her as a vulture. And then we have Marin. This is kind of straightforward for me because Marin is a snail. She's a timid person that even though Marin's pretty much Raya's only best friend apart from Atma, but when things gets heated, when Raya is being bullied, Marin is just hiding. She's hiding like a snail, like like snail when you want to pick it or something, like it perceives as dangerous approaching it, it will goes into the snail. That's what I think Raya perception of Marin is, that when there's a danger, when the school is against, when the people are against Raya, when she needs Marin the most, she's not there because she's hiding. Raya as a character, she has lots of trauma because of her abuse, because of being bullied. So she needs to heal. If you feel like you face lots of like there's an unhealed trauma going on and it's becoming a trigger and it's hindering your daily life, I would recommend go find a therapist, a trusted therapist that you can talk to and work your way with that, because untreated trauma can be serious. Untreated trauma can affect your daily life and stopping you from living your full life as your authentic self, which is I think why most of us can relate with Raya with that's why we cry. That's why we relate, because we can relate with Raya. That's all for the deep dive in the psychology part. Like if you have your own theory, feel free to write it in the comment. Which one do you think, or do you find it new or interesting? If you've enjoyed this video, feel free to write in the comment or like this, even subscribe. That would be be very grateful. If you haven't seen my gameplay, if you haven't seen the previous deep dive, you can find it here. Until the next video, bye bye.